Hey, y'all, welcome to the Blue Plate Special. It's real live music here in beautiful downtown Knoxville, Tennessee. We're here inside Visit Knoxville, and you can feel free to come join us if you like. But if you can't be here with us, know that it is streaming live right now from our WDVX Facebook page and YouTube channel where, you can watch it back later at your convenience if you like. So our guest today, he was called upon last minute, but it just so happened he just got into town last minute. So it all kind of sort of worked out in a weird little way. We're going to be talking more about what's going on in his world here in just a minute, but let's get things started. Y'all give a great big welcome to East Tennessee's own Matt Morelock. Back to the Blue Plate Special.
Thank you. Let's sing one together, y'all. What do you think? Sing this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You know this part. Will you hide it under a bushel? I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, God, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, hide it under a bushel. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. On the first night when I got home, as drunk as I could be, was another mule in the stable where my mule ought to be. Over here, pretty wife, explain that mule to me. Was another mule in the stable where my mule ought to be. She said, "You crazy man, you drunkard, can't you plainly see that mule ain't nothing but a milk cow my mammy sent to me?" Well, I've traveled this world over 1,000 miles or more, and a milk cow with saddles I ain't never seen before. On the second night, when I got home, as drunk as I could be, was another coat on the coat rack where my coat ought to be. I'm over here, pretty wife, explain that coat to me. Was another coat on the coat rack where my coat ought to be. She said, "You crazy man, you drunkard, can't you plainly see that coat ain't nothing but a bed quilt my mammy sewed for me?" Well, I've traveled this world over 1,000 miles or more, in a bed quilt with pockets I ain't never seen before. Oh! On the third night, when I got home, as drunk as I could be, it's a lot of drinking, was another boots on the bedside where my boots ought to be. Come over here, pretty wife, explain them boots to me. Why's boots along the bedside where my boots ought to be? She said, you crazy man, you drunkard, can't you plainly see? Them boots, they're nothing but slippers that I wear upon my feet. Well, I've traveled this world over 1,000 miles or more, and silver spurs on slippers I ain't never seen before. On the fourth night, when I got home, as drunk as I could be, was another head on the pillow where my head ought to be. Over here, pretty wife, explain that head to me. Was another head on the pillow where my head ought to be. She said, you crazy man, you drunkard, can't you plainly see that head ain't nothing but a cabbage that my mammy grew for me? Well, I've traveled this world over 1,000 miles or more, and a mustache on a cabbage I ain't never seen before. I usually don't let this one go this long, but I've been doing a lot of drinking. And on the fifth night, when I got home, as drunk as I could be, oh, his arms around my lady, where my arms ought to be. Come over here, pretty wife, explain them arms to me. Was arms around my lady, where my arms ought to be. You know what she said? She said, you crazy man, you drunkard, can't you plainly see? Them arms was on my cousin, he was just saying goodbye to me. Well, I've traveled this world over 1,000 miles or more, cousins hugging naked I ain't never seen before. you're just tuning in out there in Radio Land, you're listening to the WDVX Blue Plate Special. Like we said earlier, it's a show to chew on. If you're driving and eating at the same time, I want to remind you, it's illegal to drive with your feet and knees and eat a burrito. I've tried it before. Don't do that. It's unsafe. And we thank you for listening to WDVX. This is my way of stalling while I try to figure out what song I want to play next. Anybody want to hear Rocky Top? Never mind. Thank you very much.
It's Matt Morelock with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. So maybe you know, our audience is very familiar with Matt, but just in case, he's been a staple of the Knoxville music scene for most of his life, and with WDVX since the camper days, since the happy camper days. Matt was the happy camper back in the camper days.
Before I got old and grouchy.
I actually have never really known you to be a camper of any sort.
I think camping's overrated. I know that's not a popular thing to say in such an outdoorsy place like Knoxville. I mean, I love being out in the woods. I love digging holes and burning wood and hunting and fishing. And then I like sleeping in a bed and using a porcelain toilet. Fortunately, here in Knoxville, Tennessee, you can do that easily.
Well, that's true. But you're not going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee too much longer.
Yeah, no. I got to get out of here. Yep.
So Matt's making a big move up
Big
to
move next week. Yeah.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I got hired by Doge and the Banjo Commission.
Well,
It
good.
wasn't a terrible enough time. They are going to add banjos to all that stuff. So I got to hurry up there. I got a special office with a hatchet and a banjo. Look out.
Look out, yeah, for sure. I'm just going to go ahead and warn the whole city. Look out. So, all right. So you got some things going on now.
Yeah.
You're still playing with the Ferd Band.
Yeah.
And got a gig coming up here real soon. Let's tell the folks about that.
Yeah, we'll be playing up in Jonesboro. The International Storytelling Center there is in Jonesboro, Tennessee, a beautiful town. And every year we go up and they set up a stage out on the square in front of the courthouse. And we're going to be entertaining the folks up there with some Mississippi and Appalachian fiddle music. Next Friday, week from tomorrow, a free show in downtown Jonesboro, evening time. You know, I think it's like 6 or something like that. They get the music started.
You can, if you're interested in finding out more about that, ferdband.com is where you can find more information about the show next week.
Yep.
Now, it's still a year away, but you mentioned the storytelling center there. So let's talk about the Storytelling Festival.
Yeah, so Jonesboro is known all over the world as the International Storytelling Center. They have regular programming there and storytelling all the time. And then they do a big festival every October that's the International Storytelling Festival. And here in Knoxville, we have an organization called Knoxville Community Media that's right down the road here on Gay Street. We've watched them our whole lives here in Knoxville as the government access programming and the public access television show. It's where you could tune in and see a city council meeting and a wrestler without his shirt on, and then a preacher, and then somebody teaching you how to make biscuits. And it's always been community television, and recently at KCM, it's really branched out to do a lot more of different types of storytelling in addition to television, podcasting. They've got an internet radio station. It's a workshop for young people and old people to go in and learn how to make and edit videos. It's cool. And they asked me to come on and help them to put together a storytelling festival here in downtown Knoxville. It'll happen summer of next year. It takes a long time to put this thing together, but I do feel like we live in a really divided time in our country right now. And I feel like no matter, the only time you feel division from somebody else is when you're not listening to them and when you're not sitting with them and you're not sharing time together. So the Storytelling Festival, the first Knoxville Storytelling Festival, is going to be, in addition to traditional storytelling, podcasting festival, radio, where WDVX will hopefully get involved, and theater, film, songwriting, and as many different types of storytelling media as possible. So you can find out more about that at knoxstoryfest.org. So there's just a little bit of work to do between now and next summer to put together a giant festival, as you could imagine.
And as Matt's relocating, he'll be starting a new career there, traveling with Ferd, working on the festival.
What they call it, carbon footprint.
Band camp is the best place to find him right now.
Yeah, I turned off
guess.
all my social media. I'm obviously a little too busy. I don't got time to be scrolling through all that crap.
Well, y'all here in the house have the opportunity to shake and howdy with him before he heads out of town next week. But for now, hey, I'm going to back out of the way. Enough talking. Let's get some more banjo music from Matt Morelock on the Blue Plate Special.
Thank you, Red. Thank you, folks, for being here. Thank you, radio audience. And when I used to sit in Red's chair and host this show, we didn't have these cameras. But what you can't see on the radio is that there's a bank of cameras and lights here. All these shows get recorded and posted on the WDVX YouTube station. So if you've heard a show or heard of a show that you missed and wanted to see it, you can always go on the YouTube and find WDVX. And I think back to some of those shows, Red, where a band would show up in their pajamas. They hadn't slept. They were up drinking in Atlanta the whole night before and barely made it here in time. Boy, if we'd have had cameras then, I'd want to see some of that. So it still happens. I remember David Grisman showing up here one time. His agent did not tell him that there was an audience here, and this room was completely packed to see David Grisman. And that poor man he showed up in his pajamas and slippers because he thought, and he was mortified that there were hundreds of people here to see him. But this is, so on the YouTube, hello YouTube people, if this excuse for a musical performance ever gets posted on the internet. All right, I'm going to do a tune called Mrs. Nelson's Double Thumb, written for one of my students in Hawaii named Amy Nelson, that made up as an exercise for her to learn a weird banjo technique, and it came out and became a song. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to do what I always tell people not to do when they go on the radio. I'm going to tune a banjo. Live. For those of you out there eating lunch, I'm going to remind you the ultimate digestive aid, an in-tune banjo. There's a fella named Hootie Ledbetter that I would call the king of rock and roll. And if you want to debate it, let's talk after the show. Most people know him as Leadbelly. And he used to say, I'm going down to that old Mississippi. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Going down to that old Mississippi. Yes, I am, buddy. Yes, I am. Old man, can your dog catch a rabbit? I don't know. I don't know. Old man, can your doggy catch a rabbit? I don't know, buddy. I don't know. But you can take him and try. 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 Old man, can your pony haul a double? I don't know. I don't know. Old man, can your pony haul a double? I don't know, buddy. I don't know. You can take it and try. 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 Old man, can I dance with your daughter? I don't know. I don't know. Old man, can I dance with your daughter? I don't know, buddy. I don't know. You can take her and try. 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 Going down to that old Mississippi. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Going down to that old Mississippi. Yes, I am, buddy. Yes, I am.
It's Matt Morelock with us here today on the WDVX Blue Plate Special. The WDVX Blue Plate Special is presented by Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria. It's on Jackson Avenue in Knoxville's Old City, home of the Big Plate on Fridays, and by Modelo Especial and Corona Extra. Now, coming up Friday, tomorrow on the Big Plate, our friends Bristol Lightning coming down to join us. You can find more about that by visiting our website there at WDVX.com. Matt's done put the banjo down,
Thank
y'all.
God. Not funny, Grace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he picked up a fiddle.
I did.
Just fiddling around.
Spare people about it. I get asked a lot, Red, what's the difference between a violin and a fiddle?
Mm-hmm.
One's got a red neck on it.
Yeah.
It's the strings.
It's all about where you come from, I reckon.
What do you think? Because, I mean, we both see violins and fiddles. It's like a...
To me, it's how it's played.
It's how it's played. Yeah, I think so. All fiddles are violins, but not all violins are fiddles. That's an easy answer if anybody ever asked you that out there in radio land. Fiddle music is also regionally specific, dance music a lot of the time. Violin music, I'm not dressed well enough to play today, but it's okay. How are you, Red?
I'm great.
Great? You look great.
How are you?
Horrible. I'm exhausted. I've been sleeping on a couch. I sold my house. This is another piece of home selling advice for the radio audience. If you're going to sell your house, make sure you have a place to live. Because if it sells and you don't have a place to live, you're going to sleep on your girlfriend's dad's couch, which is what I'm doing right now. Because I can't sleep in the bed she's in at her dad's house. So I'm sleeping on a couch. I'm in a bad mood.
Well, play us a fiddle tune then.
So I'm going to play you a fiddle tune about what is going on in my life right now. It's called Every Time I Go to Town, You Got to Quit Kicking My Dog Around. Bear with me. And Mike, old Bill Brown, took a walk up to the town. Mike's dog Spot, the old lame pup, he just naturally follers up. Every time I go to town, boys are kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if it is a hound. Got to quit kicking my dog around. Oh, oh, oh. Just past the general store, Uncle Walt came out the door. Old Spot barked at Uncle Walt. He got punted to the back of the lot. Every time I go to town, boys are kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if it is a hound. Gotta quit kicking my dog around. Oh. tied a tin can to his tail, ran him past the county jail, laughed and laughed till they were sore. Old Bill cussed, and then he swore. Every time I go to town, boys are kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if he is a hound, gotta quit kicking my dog around. Every time I go to town, boys are kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if it is a hound, gotta quit kicking my dog around. Yeah. That tune's for Peter Scheffler. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Matt.
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
It's an interesting perspective, and once again, I have to describe this to the vast majority of you who are not here physically with us in the Knoxville Visitor Center, but here where I sit, you can look out at the door, the entry door to the Knoxville Visitor Center and the lovely staff here. And as you're playing, people pulling into Knoxville for the first time are walking in, and there's a person or a musician on a stage in a darkened room with an audience, and they look over like, what in the hell is going on? Especially when it's me up here acting like I act whenever somebody puts a microphone in front of my face. So I like to welcome everyone to Knoxville with a little wink when they get here. That really freaks them out. I have a sack here of what a lot of people call around here, if you've been to Cracker Barrel, they call them a Snoopy heart there, I think. Those are, contrary to popular belief, they won't crack your teeth. They might feel like it if you hit you in the teeth sometimes, but they're made all over the world. They make this sound, and they're called different things all over the world. Here in the United States, we'll call it a jaw harp or a juice harp or a Jew's harp. It's called Jew's harp in places where Jewish people aren't called Jews, actually. Mooney harp, Moorsing, Maltrommel, all over the world. The earliest known English language description for this bizarre and flatulent sounding instrument is actually, believe it or not, it was called a trump in England, and is still called there because that's also the sound that you make when you pass gas. Did you ever go to meeting Uncle Joe? Uncle Joe, if you ever go to meeting Uncle Joe? Did you ever go to meeting Uncle Joe? Uncle Joe, well, I ain't got a meeting, so the wind don't blow. Hop high, my ladies, how can you go? Hop high, my ladies, 3 in a row. Hop high, my ladies, how can you go? Well, I don't mind the weather, so the wind don't blow. Excellent.
It's Matt Morelock with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. We got one last tune for y'all here today. But again, join us again tomorrow for the big plate at Barley's with Bristol Lightning. You can find out more information about that at WDVX.com. Matt can be found out there on the Bandcamp and at Jonesboro with the Ferd Band next Friday. That is May 20th. And it's a free show there. Music on the Square in Jonesboro. Shaking howdy with him. Thank him for being here with us. It might be a minute before he's at my beck and call.
I'll fly down, Red.
Well,
when I showed up with my banjos and my fiddle and my sack of juice harps today, I had them all, and I looked at Red, and she said, well, thanks for coming at the last minute. And I said, yeah, I've got my banjos, I got all these instruments. I can go a whole hour. And she said, 45 minutes is okay.
Okay, that's not a true story, but yes, we do have time for one more tune here today from Matt Morelock on the Blue Plate Special.
Actually, if I could start this tune with a story about our old friend George Reynolds, who passed there a couple years ago, and I got a call from a mutual friend of ours, Steve Horton, and Steve said, well, George is on his last couple of breaths, and he's over there in hospice care, and I bet he'd love for you to take the banjo over there and play a little bit for him. So I grabbed this very banjo, and I went over to George's bedside, and the nurse kind of took me in. He had his eyes closed. He was asleep, and I said, well, how's he doing? She said, well, he's getting towards the end. He's pretty tired. I just shook my head. George was a wonderful man, educator, musician, singer, one of the heroes of Knoxville, the Knoxville music scene. And I walked over and I kind of touched him on the leg, and he opened his eyes and he looked over at me, and I said, George, it's Matt Morelock. And he said, oh, Matt, it's good to see you, buddy. And I said, good to see you too. You look tired. He said, I'm real tired. And I said, well, I mean, Steve told me to bring the banjo by, play for you a little bit, but, if you need a rest, you could rest too. And he looked at me and he said, oh, and he looked me head to toe and he said, you brought your banjo. And I said, I sure did. And he said, I think I'll rest. I'm busy taking it easy, working hard on my tan. Don't need no 7-day planner, 'cause I ain't making no plans. I'm busy taking it easy, and I ain't taking no calls. I don't need a persuasion to take a vacation, do nothing at all. Long day, hard work, your life is a mess and your boss is a jerk. You're playing the game that a man never wins. So hard, I know, to ease it all up, I just learned to go slow. When life's seeming crazy, that's when my vacation begins. I'm busy taking it easy, I'm working hard on my tan. Don't need no 7-day planner, 'cause I ain't making no plans. I'm busy taking it easy, doing nothing at all. Heading out to the country in my overalls. Pretty girls, 12-ounce curls, rum and coke on a pontoon boat. I'm in my corner office, way up on Easy Street. flip-flops, pop-tops. Got a real loose appointment at Ken's bait shop. I worked up a sweat, but I was only slaving over the grill. I'm busy taking it easy. I'm working hard on my tan. Don't need no 7-day planner, 'cause I ain't making no plans. I'm busy taking it easy, doing nothing at all. I don't need a persuasion to take a vacation. Hey.
That's Matt Morelock. Thank y'all. Join us again next time for more real live music on the Blue Plate Special.